What's up, Dunwoody? Welcome back to the podcast. It's all about Dunwoody, Georgia. I'm Matt Weber. Show's brought to you by Village Orthodontics, and I'm here with two friends, new friend and older friend. Scott Wilkinson, who helps with the parade. He is, I think, as important as I am with the parade, and you just kind of show up at the last minute, and everything works out. You have taken complete control of the end of the parade, and we thank you very, very much for that.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, and you also do a lot with DUMC, and that is why you brought Joy along here with you. I guess if you just want to kind of start, Scott, where you've been with DUMC for a long time, and you kind of helped start the whole thing up. And so let's go back to the very beginning.
I won't take any credit for that. I wasn't there at the very beginning. I've only been there
Okay.
about 10 years, and the show's this is the 19th season
Okay.
of this.
You've been there for a lot of it.
I've been there for a lot of it. Joy is definitely taking us to a different level with her presence this year, and we're very, very excited for
Yeah.
everybody to see what she's
Brought
doing.
in the big guns.
Oh, yeah. We decided that all volunteer with me directing wasn't going to work. We needed someone who had, talent.
He has a lot of talent, just for the record.
Now, the Performing Arts program at DUMC started, I'm looking at my notes to make sure I get it right, started in 2004. The first group was led by a guy named Robert Edwards, who's since retired, but he got a group of people together, and they did The Importance of Being Earnest, which is a comedy, a classic comedy, and they did it in the chapel. If you've never been in the DUMC chapel, it's the original building for Dunwoody United Methodist Church. It's the small building sort of right there on Mount Vernon, has the smaller steeple. You can see some old pictures from years and years ago. It was there when that was like a dirt road.
Yeah.
And so, as you can imagine, the inside is not really geared towards doing
Acoustic.
plays. I've seen video of that first show. They did a great job. They did it all sort of up on the altar, and there's all sorts of interesting stories about them trying to light it and trying to get the sound working. And the guy who did the lighting for it is actually doing the lighting for this show. He's still with the program. And two people who were in that show, Chris Sizowitz and Betsy Wallace, who happen to be married, are also in this show. So it's got longevity. People still in it. One of the funny stories about the guy who did the lighting, I won't use his name because I'm going to say something embarrassing about him, is he was working a night shift when he was doing that show. And apparently he fell asleep and woke up and it was intermission. And he looked out and saw nobody there and thought it was over and turned the lights off and left. He has promised he won't do that in this show.
Right.
Yeah.
That won't
Need to
happen
hold
in
him to
this
that.
show, promise.
No. We do a little bit better now. But so 19 years they've been doing that, and one of the goals that Robert set for this program from the very beginning. Robert had a theatrical background, a professional background, and he always said that he was going to hold this program to a higher standard than what you'd expect when you hear church performing arts.
Right.
It's not just going to be a group that gets together and does a passion play and a nativity scene, and maybe does what we used to call commercials during the service. Go up and do a little thing about something that's happening in the church.
Right.
He always held it to a higher standard, and there was a couple of things he did to make sure that happened. One is he made sure that you actually really rehearsed and did things that were challenging. If he couldn't find somebody in the church that was appropriate for a part, he would bring somebody in. And so a lot of these shows, we've had at least half, sometimes usually a little bit less, but sometimes more than half of the cast be people outside the church, which is a great outreach, a great way of bringing people in. Sometimes those were professionals that we would pay. Sometimes it was just going out and finding people. We did one show. We did My Fair Lady, and we partnered with the Jewish Community Center, JCC, and had a guest director come in and had sort of their drama group and our drama group together to this big show. I got to be Colonel Pickering in that. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really, really good. It's amazing to see the talent that is in Dunwoody to do this. I mean, certainly we have the professional stuff at Stage Door, which is amazing if you've never been there. But for this kind of show, it's just the quality is really, really good. The other thing that's been great is I talk about longevity. We have some kids that were in some of the earlier shows when you have to have kids in the shows. So they were 12 and 13, things like that. A couple of them actually 3 of them are in this show as adults.
Yeah.
So they've been doing it all these years, and they keep coming back. Sure, they go away to college and they get other experience and do other things, but they are so talented and amazing. They come back.
Yeah.
And so
Is your son interested in that at all?
My son is not, but my daughter is.
Okay.
I've actually done 2 shows there with my daughter on stage.
Oh, that's really fun.
It's scary because we did Godspell together, which is just kind of silly and fun. But then we did a show when Robert retired. we did a show called Shows We Could Have Done, If. And it was songs from shows that you really just couldn't do in this group.
Yeah.
Whether it was like songs from Book of Mormon, which we are never going to do in a church.
Not a good
shows
look.
that had, yeah.
Definitely not.
No. You can't even edit that one. No, that's not going to happen. Or shows that we just didn't have the cast for. They were really male heavy, a lot of strong voices, something like that. And so that was his sort of farewell. And I did that with my daughter. We were both on the show together. And the last song of it was kind of our farewell to him. We did 525,600 minutes. The whole little song that from
Seasons of Love.
Seasons of Love. There you go. And I had to look at her at one point, and I teared up every night.
Yeah.
Because it was just so emotional. And there's my daughter on stage singing with
Right.
me. She's still performing some. She's at William and Mary, and she's trying out for Little Shop of Horrors. Not Little Shop of Horrors, sorry. What's the one with Frankenfurter?
But that's
The one
cool
that
that
you
you got
broke-
that in her. You
Oh, yeah.
kind
the
of
one you
forced
throw
her
things
to
in
do
the
that,
TV.
and look where it went. Got to.
Oh yeah. But she has to wear lingerie in that one, so I'm not gonna watch that.
Not gonna make it that one.
And somebody's gonna listen to this and say, "How could you forget the name of that show?" Because it is incredibly popular. It's a movie that everyone goes to.
They're yelling it at their. Yeah, they're in the car
And-
yelling it.
They're all yelling it right now because I'm got gray hair now and I forget stuff like that.
That's all right.
The other thing that was really cool. This theater was the first group. I don't know if it was in the United States, but certainly in this area, to get the rights to do High School Musical on stage as an amateur group.
Okay.
That was I forgot exactly what year that was. I think it was 2007, and Robert managed to cast it.
So you're not allowed to just rip off whatever you want.
No. You got to go out and get the rights for it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's expensive to put these things on.
Is it? I
Absolutely.
would have never
Yeah.
guessed.
Yeah, in order to do a musical in particular, you have to get the rights, you have to get the tracks, or you have to get a professional group to play it. And there's all sorts of rights around how many people can come see it and how often you show it and everything. It's very, very involved.
Wow.
And so he got the rights to High School Musical, and it sold out the Fellowship Hall at Dunwoody Methodist completely every night.
Wow. That's a big hall too.
It is. It seats a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he had to get special rights to be able to show it to that many people because you have to tell them how many people are coming. They charge you based on that. And we've had a lot of success. One of the ones that I was in, the first time I was in a show there. So I like talking about myself. Interrupt me if you want me to.
No,
um,
that's fine.
So
That's
I
why
started
you're
out
on the
doing-
podcast. So.
Oh, good point. Yeah. I started acting mostly. Elementary school, I had a great acting teacher, but I'm not going to really talk about that. In high school, I did a lot of acting, and then when I got to college at Georgia Tech, Drama Tech was kind of nascent. It wasn't really big. They actually could bring in people from like the Weather Channel to fill out the cast. By the time I graduated, that hit was gone, and it was all just students at that point. But I got all of my English credits in college by acting at Drama Tech. And so when I left college, I really kind of got out of that because I was a professional, and I decided I wasn't going to go professionally into acting, and didn't really do any acting for years. And when I got to DUMC, Robert Edwards heard that I had an acting background, and he kept bugging me to do a show, and I kept saying, I just don't have time for that anymore. I've got all these other responsibilities. My parents came to town, and he saw my parents were in town, and he sat next to them in church, and he harassed my mother for the entire time about how great this program is, and how they really needed more people to be in it. And she became his advocate. She immediately came to me and said, you were so much happier when you used to be on stage.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, Robert, I will do a small part. What have you got coming up? And he said, we're doing Sound of Music. And I was a Nazi. I was Admiral von Schreiber, the guy who comes in and tells the lead character that he's got to go back to the Navy and get back in with the Nazis and everything. I was the bad guy.
But you know what? I'm sure your mom was very proud of you. She felt like you felt, watching your daughter up on stage. And you don't even have to wear lingerie.
I didn't,
You just got to be a Nazi.
I choose to. I don't have to. But my family was very supportive. They didn't say anything bad about me. They didn't post any pictures of me in Nazi regalia, which is even better if I ever want to go into politics.
Yeah, not a good look.
No. And so I told him afterwards, I said, that was fine. It was kind of a nice thing to do. I'm not sure if I want to do it again. He said, well, wait, we got the second show we're getting ready to do, and I got a part for you, and we're doing Little Shop of Horrors, and we want you to be the dentist. That's the Steve Martin role from the movie.
Right.
Just over the top, crazy, absolutely hilarious, evil character. I had to dye my hair black and wear leather clothes, smack people around on stage. I couldn't turn it down, and I've been doing it ever.
I would have loved
But
to have seen you in that role.
I'll send you a video.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it embarrassed my kids terribly. One of my daughter's friends had a birthday party, and for the birthday party, they all came to see the show, and she was just horrified.
She's like, I should have planned a real party.
Anything but this. Not my dad up there with people I know, doing this horrible. It was a really great show. They had to rent, of course, the big puppets and all those kind of things to make the monsters work, and it was a fabulous show. And when Robert retired, he finally retired about 2000. He got a bunch of us together and said, "Look, we don't have budget right now to put a professional person in to take over this program. There won't be staff, but if you could continue running it as volunteers for a little while, maybe we eventually will get to the point where we have staff that can come in and do this." Because he was doing a lot of things for the church. He was not just doing this. He was running camps for kids. He was doing concert series. He was kind of controlling that. When they designed that stage, he was very instrumental in making sure it was a professional level stage.
Yeah.
So he was doing a lot of stuff. When he retired, he brought us together and said, it needs to be a volunteer thing for a little while. Can one of you direct it? And I was the only one that raised my hand. I thought I would be one of 3 or 4. And it turned out to be me. And then we put a show together. We picked out a show. It was going to be a little comedy, just a little play. We got everybody together. We ran through the first couple of rehearsals, and they shut the church down for something called COVID. And we said, we'll stop rehearsals for like 2 weeks. We're not going to delay anything.
Right.
And, 2 weeks became 2 months, became 2 years.
I think that's how everything was. Like, we'll just take a few weeks off of soccer. Oh, no, it's over.
Yeah. We rehearsed online for a while. We rehearsed at my house before we realized how serious it was, and then we sort of shut everything down.
Yeah.
And it was almost 2 years to the day before we went back on stage. And some of the people had moved away. Other people had different commitments. They couldn't be in anymore. I had to recast. But we did finally put that show on. And people were so excited to go back to live theater.
Yeah.
We had a big crowd that came out. And I did 2 of those. I directed 2 plays. And then we did what we call a cabaret, which is a musical that you don't have to pay for the rights for. What you do is you just get a lot of music and throw it together and say it's a cabaret. We did a night at the movies. And we had songs from different movies, and we brought in people with these just powerful, amazing voices. And I told them I don't really have time to do this because I just directed 2 shows. And they said, look, we got a section on the 80s. We really need somebody to do an 80s song. And so they had me do Don't You Forget About Me from The Breakfast Club, which is my favorite movie and now my least favorite song.
Yeah.
I had to dress up in the full 80s gear and different hair and everything. And then they had me do, we had a guy drop out, so I ended up doing Man of Constant Sorrow from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh,
Which was
okay.
a lot of fun. We all wore the beards and the hats and everything. And just because I wasn't embarrassed enough, they decided they put me in Men in Tights.
I was hoping you would mention that too. Tell them about the tights. Tell them about the tights.
No. Nobody wants to know about the tights. We actually did the Men in Tights thing, and talking about shows we could never have done in the church. But Joy showed up about halfway through that show?
Yes.
And helped bring it up to a different level. You actually were on stage for one of them, right?
Yes. I for Sister Act, I pretended to be the role that Whoopi Goldberg plays.
Yeah.
So I got to direct
I love
them
that
just for a
movie.
moment. Cameo appearance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was even better about that, the senior minister, I keep calling him the new senior minister, but he's been there for a while now. He is so supportive of this program that he actually came out and sang a song to kick off the show every night.
And it
he's
didn't
been
run
very,
people
very
off?
supportive. Oh, it was entertaining.
Yeah.
And he'd broken his leg, so he had to do it on crutches.
Yeah.
He showed up every night to do it.
He's an amazing pastor that's super supportive, and has been very supportive of this show, Into the Woods, as well. So we're very grateful for him. Yeah.
So what's it like to have an actual professional there, Scott? A little
man.
easier on you?
Well, just being an assistant director instead of being a director by itself is
Assistant to the director.
Assistant to the director, that's right. I'm not wearing my white shirt stuff. I should be. Somebody asked me, they said, isn't it hard to just be doing what you're doing? I said, no, when I go home at night, I don't dream about the show.
Right.
And I'm sure that Joy does every night.
Absolutely.
How long have you been doing this, Joy?
Performing in general since 2006, professionally since 2008.
Okay.
So yeah, directing. I started directing and producing in 2012. I had my own theater company in Wilmington, North Carolina, and yeah, so it's been a little while. It's been a
Yeah.
little while. Yeah, yeah.
And
So
how'd
now,
you
And
end
I'm
up
now
at
think more about.
UMC? Why?
well. I
You
am.
close by?
I'm sorry. What'd you say, Scott?
You,
No, I was on Joy. There's much more impressive behind that. I just had a little theater company in Wilmington, North Carolina. I mean, brag on yourself a little bit here. You want
Yeah.
awards? You got them.
I'm not good at that. Yeah, I've performed a lot of places, East Coast, Southeast, and it was something that started off as just a hobby, and I just ended up doing really really well in it. And one of the first shows I did professionally was I don't know how old the listening audience is, but if you all remember Schoolhouse Rock,
uh-huh.
that was one of the first shows that I ever did on a professional stage, and then things just kind of took off. So Schoolhouse Rock to Smokey Joe's Cafe, which is an amazing review show that I'm one of my favorites. To oh my gosh, there's so many. A Hairspray. I got to play Motor Mouth Mabel, which was so much fun.
Yeah.
To Hello Dolly, I got to be Dolly, and to Caroline or Change and Color Purple. So these are all of just some of the shows that I've been blessed to perform with incredible people throughout the U.S. So that was great. And yeah, so to answer your question, I am a second year student at Candler's Emory University's Candler School of Theology.
Okay.
And part of that program, you have to kind of choose a church to do what's called a teaching parish.
Hmm.
And I was deciding between a couple of churches, and one of the reasons I chose Dunwoody, of course, because of Pastor Phil, he's amazing, but also because
Yeah.
this was the only church that had a performing arts ministry.
Yeah.
And Pastor Phil mentioned that they wanted to really kind of revitalize this ministry, and I was like, well, that's a no-brainer. I get to do ministry and performing arts. That's it's a wrap.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I ended up at Dunwoody UMC.
Nice. Nice. And so this one is the 13th, 14th, 15th of October. Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And for those of you who may not know about Into the Woods, it's basically you take your favorite storybook characters and just tell this story. So you've got Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk, you've got the baker, you've got Cinderella, you've got Rapunzel, you've got Little Red Riding Hood, and all of them have these desires, these wishes, and they have to kind of go into the woods to make these wishes happen. And it's just a really relevant story, even now.
Yeah.
Our life circumstances, always kind of create these desires within us, and how far will we go to get what we want, right? And so that's kind of what it means to kind of go into the woods. And it's really, really an incredible show with incredibly talented people.
Yeah.
Incredibly talented people. We're so blessed to have this cast. People that are members of the church and a lot that are just members of the community. So super excited about it.
That's cool. And you just go out and find those people, Scott? Like how do
Well, it's a lot
you
of
put
us did word
ads
of
out?
mouth.
Where do you get randoms from the community from?
Joy did open auditions
Open
this time,
auditions.
Okay.
and you
And
could
people
submit a
show up.
video, or you could come in person.
Yeah,
Um,
we just social media, we just blasted that on those auditions, and people showed up.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you've been working on it since July. Is that what I read? Yeah.
Yeah, we had our first read through in July. We started walking it, I think, 2 weeks later, putting it like we're not on the stage right now because the stage is being used because they do contemporary. That's not called contemporary anymore. It's modern worship service in the fellowship hall with a big band and everything. That takes the whole stage and lights and all that kind of stuff. And then the
Yeah.
youth program has gotten so big that they don't fit in their area anymore, and so they meet in there on Sundays as well. And so we are actually putting it all together in the aerobics room, which is another room sort of off to the side that Joy went in and taped off what the stage looks like. And our first time on stage, I think, is next week. We're actually
Yeah.
going to put it on stage.
Yeah. It'll be
But
the same feeling though.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll go very smoothly.
No worries at all.
Show up on the 14th, not the 13th, right?
We do have a preview day for like friends and family, which is kind of like a soft open for those of you in the restaurant business, where we let people come in and they don't really have to pay, but they have to be very enthusiastic and they have to be very forgiving.
Yeah. That's where your daughter's birthday party is going to be.
Yeah, no, she's not coming to this. No, if she could, she'd be here, but she's in college, so she can't do that.
But the cast has worked so hard that this is one of the first shows I've been in where they've been in such a good place so far before we open. Like, I won't tell them this, but if we had to open next week, we would actually be okay. It wouldn't be as great as I would want it, but we have like 2.5, 3 weeks to really get it to another level. So I'm so proud of them for that. It's really in a great spot.
That's really cool. And so tickets are available now. What you guys are looking for sponsors still, right? Or you just you just started, you said, Scott, right?
Yeah, it's something we're doing different this time. We always have people that say, I can't come to the show, but I like the program, I like the idea. What can I do to support the show? And in the past, we just told them, buy tickets and don't show up, which is a bad thing to say. So we changed it this year, and we said, if you sponsor the show, we will acknowledge you. We're going to put your name in the playbill. We're going to offer you the opportunity to come and meet the cast. We're going to do a reception opening night so you can come and meet the cast. And so we just started doing this. We started going out to the community. There's, of course, lots of people in the community who have always been supportive. And we want to give them a chance to be acknowledged. And we have different levels, everything from $25 to get your name in the playbill and come see the cast, to all the way up to relatively high levels at $500. And we put that out there, I think, yesterday, and I think we have 3 now. So in one day we've gotten 3, and we'll keep pushing and try to get some more. And we're going to do things like go on a popular podcast and see if maybe that helps. And
yeah,
I know, right?
What podcast are you doing?
Or something like
that. You probably never heard of it.
Of our 5 listeners, you might get one. That's good.
Well, that doesn't help because I'm one of the listeners.
Oh, okay, 4 listeners then.
Down to 4.
So, Joy, you're in seminary school now. Is that what you were saying?
I am.
Okay, how's that going?
It's incredible. It's challenging. It's life-giving. It's transformative. It's all of that.
A little different
right now
than
in the middle of
career.
I'm sorry.
A little different than your past career, I guess.
Yeah. Not only was I was a professional performer, but I also was in mental health. My first master's was in counseling psychology. So I spent the last 20 years in counseling, social work, mental health.
Those are actually somewhat similar to seminary. There you go.
Ding, 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 ding.
Dealing with people.
Exactly. So it all kind of comes together, because most of my artist friends, we're a little cuckoo.
Yeah. These assistant directors, I feel you.
Yeah, I'm not arguing at all with any of this. No.
So it's really been great. It's really been great.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And we are. I will say again, we are so lucky to have Joy. I mean, we did very hard. We did work very hard before we had somebody like Joy around. We tried they let me direct, but there was a certain level we weren't going to get beyond.
Right.
Because I just don't have the experience. Or the aptitude or the talent or anything that Joy brings to it. And she came in on day 1 and said, I'm going to be a little harder on you than maybe you're used to. And everybody appreciates it. Because she's expecting so much out of people. She's telling people on day 1, when you're out there, you've got to be acting like the character. You can't be yourself anymore. As soon as you walk on that stage, you're that character. And I don't want to see you anymore. And forcing people to have that mindset from day 1, which allows us to get beyond just I'm saying my lines and being where I need to be, to understanding what the character feels and how it integrates, and just bringing that back out to the audience. And I get to sit there every night and listen to these people sing and watch them perform, and I get goosebumps every night. And we're not even to show quality yet. I mean, it's just... There are a couple of songs in there, and there are a couple of scenes that every night just completely lock me up, and I can't even take notes.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see what she's been able to pull out of these people on the stage when we get in there.
So even in the aerobics room, you make them look good, huh, Joy? Just wait till you get on the main stage.
It's not difficult. It's not difficult.
Yeah.
That's just how talented this cast is. Yeah, I just try to encourage them to just go to another level. But yeah, doesn't take much work.
Awesome. So how do they get tickets? I guess the website.
You can go to if you go to the
website.
church website, dunwoody-umc.org/performing-arts. And if you can't remember all of that, just do a Google search for Dunwoody UMC and look under programs. You'll see Performing Arts. And there's a link there that you can buy tickets or sponsors, or you can do both. I mean, we want to encourage the sponsors to actually come to the show. So if you sponsor the show, you're still allowed to buy tickets and come too. And we'll see more ads about it. We're going to put more things out. Obviously, community forum on Facebook, it's got some ads up, and we'll put some other things out. But that's the best way. We will accept if you decide at the last minute you want to come to a show and you show up, we're going to let you in.
Okay.
Probably charge you at the door, but we will let you in.
Yeah.
It's $10 for adults and $5 for children.
Okay. Very affordable.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. So if you're a sponsor looking to help, or if you just want to get tickets and go to the show,
Just come. We'd love to see you.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, guys. Scott, it's always nice to talk to you. Enjoy. You seem like you're making a big difference at DUMC. So thanks for helping the community.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. Thank you. Just so nice meeting you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Thank you.